On the Saints door, quarterback sneak by Tom Brady to the 43-year-old score. He did. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Now, spike that ball, Tom Brady. Who says I'm 43? He runs right up the gut and scores 6. 7. Handoff, run the ball. Fournette slashes away to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 30, 25, to the 20. Fournette to the 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Run the ball, Leonard Fournette. Wow, what a blast up the gut, found daylight, and outran everybody. Fire the cannons, get them going. Bucs win. Bucs win, Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
First snap in Vikings territory for Tampa Bay. Brady all day, downfield. Touchdown, Scott Miller. Four-man rush. Brady airing it out, going deep. He's got it to Antonio Brown. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Ronald Jones will get it. Big hole. Jones gets by. Ronald Jones may go all the way. Being chased from behind. Does Jones have enough? Still on his feet. Ronald Jones, 98-yard touchdown.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast, and today we are Super Bowl champions, and we're going to be covering this game after the Super Bowl win, a couple days after, and I've had time to really celebrate, and now it's time to reflect on the game, and I am just so happy. I can't be more excited than I have been the past couple of days after this win, and it's pretty great to see the Buccaneers have their second Lombardi Trophy, and you got to feel really happy for the guys that have been on the team for a while, especially Mike Evans, Levante David, and William Golston. They've been our longest tenured players, and they've been through a lot of losing to get through this, but the moment is here, and the Buccaneers Super Bowl champions, and today we're going to be talking about our 31-9 win over the Chiefs, looking at the stats and giving a player of the game. Alright, so a quick injury note that I did want to point out, and that's Carlton Davis did go down in the fourth quarter with something. There was an injury timeout, and I haven't heard much about anything from that afterwards, so he's probably fine, nothing major, so that's good to see. Other than that, nothing really injury-related happened in this game. So now let's get into our player of the game, and honestly, I thought the defense was the MVP of this game, but I couldn't really highlight a single player on defense, but I did find one offensive player that I did want to highlight from this game, and that was Rob Gronkowski, and I thought he came up huge in this one when he needed to. And we were talking about all season long when we acquired Gronk in the trade with the Patriots to get him out of retirement, and everyone was saying Gronk is going to come alive in the playoffs. He might not play his best in the regular season, and sometimes he had big moments in the regular season. I thought he had a fine regular season, in my opinion, but he did really show up in this Super Bowl, and it really seemed like he was the Gronk of old in this game, and he was definitely our best offensive player of the Super Bowl. And in the game, he had 6 catches for 67 yards, and he caught the first 2 touchdowns of the game, and that was really huge for us, and getting out to the early lead we had, I think that was pretty big, because from when we had that 8-point lead was really when the momentum started to swing in our favor, and we were up by 8 points, and I was thinking, oh yeah, we're definitely going to be in this game, and it ended up being a blowout. I mean, we never really let go from being up 14-6, and from then on, we were just really putting on a show for the world to see, and that was really something special. Alright, and so getting into the stats now, starting out with the Chiefs side of things, and Patrick Mahomes didn't have his best of games, really wasn't helped out at all by the poor play of his offensive line, and also his receivers dropped a couple of really important passes. There was that one play where Mahomes was going down, and he was sideways. His body was in midair, just above the ground, and he somehow got that ball out It was a play after he made another amazing throw as he was falling down, and Darrell Williams, the running back, their backup running back, just dropped it in the end zone. And it could have been a touchdown, but that was where the game really seemed like it had ended for them at that moment. And so Mahomes in this game, 26 completions on 49 attempts for 270 yards, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And that was really the big story of the game, was the Chiefs offense did not score a touchdown against this Buccaneer defense, and that was pretty much the reason why we won the game, and that was because our pass rush was able to get to Mahomes thanks to their offensive line injuries, and I mentioned that was going to be key coming into this game, and their offensive line put up a stinker. It was definitely really, really ugly out there, and that was the main reason really why the Chiefs offense couldn't get anything going. Also, it didn't help that they didn't run the ball at all much, and that was because they were behind early and they were forced to throw the ball every play. And so that really did not help the pass protection issues. But looking at their running statistics, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the leading rusher on 9 carries for 64 yards. Patrick Mahomes 5 for 33, Tyreek Hill 1 for 5, and Darrell Williams 2 for 5. And then the leading receiver, Travis Kelce, had himself a good game. He was probably the bright spot on this Chiefs team. 10 catches for 133 yards. And then Tyreek Hill second for 7 catches for 73 yards. And it seemed like that he was a lot less productive than what he ended up finishing with in this game. He was very quiet, and I think the only real big play he had was when the Chiefs were backed up inside the 5, and Mahomes hit Tyreek Hill, honestly, and he was just running around and juking past our defenders and putting on some moves, and that was pretty much the only moment he had in this one. So good job by our secondary to really bottle him up. And then rounding out the receiving statistics, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 2 catches for 23 yards, Sammy Watkins 1 for 13, Demarcus Robinson 1 for 11, Darrell Williams 2 for 10, McCole Hardman 2 for 4, and Byron Pringle 1 for 3. Defensively, Damian Wilson was the leading tackler with 10 total tackles, and in second, Ben Neiman with 9 total tackles. And Damian Wilson also recorded a tackle for a loss, and Frank Clark recorded a sack and 2 tackles for a loss. And so the Chiefs were only able to record 1 sack in this game, and that was also a main reason why our offense was able to get things going. The Chiefs front really was neutralized by our offensive line, and they did a really good job in this game with pass protection, especially on that second touchdown pass. Brady had so much time off the play action to read the play development, and then finally he found an open Gronk in the back of the end zone, and that was a huge moment in the game, and our offensive line played a pretty big role in that. And throughout the game, they really kept Brady clean. Aside from that 1 sack, didn't really face pressure all that much, and we were also able to run the ball on them as well, so that really helps when our offensive line's playing well to give us a balanced attack offensively. Recording the only pass defended for the Chiefs was Anthony Hitchens, and then Harrison Butker went 3 for 3 on field goals, obviously not scoring any extra points because the Chiefs did not score any touchdowns in this one. And I also did want to talk about their punter, Tommy Townsend, because he had a couple of shanks that set us up in good field position, and so the special teams did really hurt the Chiefs in this one. I think there's a point to be made that if your punter isn't really used as much in the regular season like the Chiefs have with their explosive offense, I mean, they don't punt that much. They're one of the fewest punting teams in the league, and so when your punter is cold and he doesn't punt that much because your offense is scoring a lot of the drives, they get the ball, then there is a chance he shanks the punt. And I guess we saw that in this game. And 2 of the shanked punts off the foot of Townsend did set us up in great field position. That was also a key contributor of why we were able to get points up on the board early. All right, so switching things over to the Buccaneers side, and Tom Brady was named the Super Bowl MVP in this one. I don't know if I would give him the MVP personally, but, you know, it's a quarterback really focused award, and he did do his part in this one, and he had himself a nice game. I'm not going to take anything away from him in that regard, as he had 21 completions on 29 attempts for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions in this one, keeping the ball out of the hands of the Chiefs and having a clean game offensively was one of the keys also in this one, and Brady did just that. He did his part. And if we were able to do that and just get points up on the board, our defense was able to really take control in this one. And the ground game was really successful all postseason, and it continued in this one. Leonard Fournette having himself a pretty nice game. 16 carries for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Ronald Jones also had some solid numbers as well. 12 carries for 61 yards. Leading receiver in this one I mentioned, Rob Gronkowski, 6 catches for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, second, 4 catches for 46 yards. And really, other than those two, not really any big production from our other receivers other than Antonio Brown, who had a touchdown catch in this one, along with 5 catches for 22 yards. Running out the receiving statistics, Mike Evans, 1 catch for 31 yards. Cameron Brate, 3 for 26, and Chris Godwin, 2 for 9. Joe Haig could have got a touchdown pass, and it was an interesting play. It was a tackle eligible. We were in a jumbo set, and it looks like we were going to run the ball. And actually, I believe that was one of the plays that Vita Vea was lined up at fullback. And I thought that we were going to pound it in with Leonard Fournette, with Vita Vea leading the way, and it ended up being a play action, and we tried to throw it to Haig. I think it was Hitchens who knocked the ball out of his hands, and we almost saw an offensive lineman score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but it wasn't meant to be. That would have been a pretty fun moment if that happened. All right, defensively, now looking at the real stars of the show, and Devin White, the leader in tackles, 12 total. He also had 2 for a loss, 1 interception, 1 pass defended. He had himself an excellent game, and that interception at the end of it to cap things off really was his cherry on top of the cake. That was a really amazing performance from him in this one. Levante David and Antoine Winfield, as well as Sean Murphy Bunting, tied for second with 6 total tackles. Having the sacks for us in this one were Ndamukong Suh with 1.5. He had a tackle for a loss. Shaq Barrett, 1 sack and 1 tackle for a loss, and Cam Gill with a half a sack. Antoine Winfield was the one who recorded the other interception. He had 2 passes defended. Levante David also had 2 passes defended, and recording 1 pass defended each, besides Devin White, who I already mentioned, were Jason Pierre-Paul, Sean Murphy Bunting, Mike Edwards, and Jamel Dean, with Ryan Suckup going 1 for 1 on field goals and 4 for 4 on extra points. Alright, so now getting into why we won this game, and I already mentioned some of the things, but pressure was the number one reason, and we needed pressure on Mahomes, and we made him uncomfortable, taking advantage of the injuries along the Chiefs' offensive line, and that was one big thing I mentioned coming into this game, and I am so happy we were able to get the pressure, only sending 4 guys and not blitzing anyone and having to sacrifice any coverage on guys like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And that was why also our secondary was able to have a good game, because the pass rush made our secondary look great. And the scheme we drew up, I mean, Todd Bowles, hats off to him. I mean, we were able to neutralize their guys, and that was because we didn't have to blitz them. We were able to get pressure with 4 guys, and that was able to help the secondary do their job as well. Running the ball was important for us in this one. Controlling the clock, play action passes. I mean, Brady scored all 3 of his touchdowns off of play action passes, and then the second half was all about controlling the clock, and with Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones having themselves pretty good games, that was able to help us, and I mentioned the offensive line pretty big role in that as well. Really, something that I didn't really talk about much coming into this one that really I expected to be a factor was just the nerves. I mean, none of our guys have really been in this spot before, other than the guys that got traded over or signed with us in free agency. I mean, the guys that have stuck with this team for a while haven't been in this kind of playoff atmosphere before, and I thought there would be some nerves from some of the guys coming into this one, and we really didn't see that at all, except for the Ryan Jensen snap over Tom Brady's head, which definitely could have changed the course of this game. At that point, we were leading 28-9, and we were in field goal range, so that definitely could have been a costly mistake that helped the Chiefs get back into this one. But an underrated moment of the game was Tom Brady falling on that fumble and kind of almost scooping it up with one hand and just grasping it. That was pretty huge because we were able to get a field goal off of that drive, and that was the last point scored in this game. And if the Chiefs had recovered that fumble, maybe they could have started a comeback. But that was still a pretty big moment in the game that could have been a turning point. Alright, so that is pretty much it with the analysis of this one. and the Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions. What a year it's been. What a season. I've been amazed to be covering it through it all. And that wraps up the 2020 NFL season. And thank you guys for watching my content throughout the season, my game analysis and previews. And it's been a blast throughout the season. But now we're rolling into the off season, and I'll be starting off season content in a bit. So stay tuned for what I have planned throughout the off season. And so that is it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and go Bucs. We're Super Bowl champs.